Well, what's up, guys? Hopefully you're all you had a good day yesterday. So I thought I'd do a video talk about all things video games in general today, gaming and all that kind of thing. So let's talk WWE 2K25 first. Obviously there's been a lot of talk about the first DLC. Now we still haven't really heard anything about who the first celebrity he was going to be the celebrity for the first DLC pack. Um, Obviously, we've had the second DLC pack released this week. That came out on Wednesday. I actually quite like the second DLC pack. I've actually quite enjoyed playing with the NBA stars. I might have been a little bit hasty about that, saying that we shouldn't have NBA stars in the game. I mean, it's not too much of a bad thing because obviously, I think a lot of people will probably be quite familiar with Shaquille O'Neal, Jalen Brunson, and also Tyrese Halliburton. Obviously, the three NBA stars that were in that DLC pack. It's also awesome to have Abyss and Ray Harley, in this year's game as well as DLC. We've got some huge names coming in as DLC this year, and I think I mean, I can't really complain. But obviously, a lot of people are still talking about the fact that the celebrity for the first DLC pack still hasn't been revealed and what is going on with that. So, my guess on this situation is that maybe they weren't able to get the person that was originally meant to be the celebrity for that DLC pack. Like maybe they've had to cancel that for whatever reason and they're looking for an alternative. Like they're looking to, looking for someone else. They're hoping to give us someone else. I think the fact that 2K aren't really saying anything, I think is really kind of frustrating. I think they should be, a lot more upfront and a lot more honest about the situation, and just explain to people that, explain to people what the situation is. Say, look, we've not been able to get the person that was meant to be the first celebrity. Was meant to be the celebrity for the first DLC pack, but we are looking for an alternative. We're looking to, we are. You can see what the issue is here. 2K, obviously, they've not been, they've perhaps, what I'm thinking is they've not been able to get the person who was meant to be the first celebrity for the first, the celebrity for the first DLC pack, um, which is what a lot of people are kind of thinking right now. That's what a lot of people believe is what's going on. Um, And obviously, 2K didn't really have a backup option. And I think this is the problem. I think 2K really should have a backup option just in case something like this happens and they weren't able to get the person that was originally planned to be in that spot for the DLC pack in the DLC pack. At least they would have a backup option there ready to go if they needed that. Unfortunately, with this situation, 2K didn't have a backup option ready to go. So they're now, they're probably now looking for some sort of an alternative and some sort of a backup option, as they've not been able to get the person that was originally meant to be the celebrity for the first DLC pack. I know that obviously judging by the leaks and everything that person was meant to be Travis Scott, and I think it's probably highly likely that 2K probably weren't able to rear deal or anything with Travis Scott. I mean, thinking about it, WWE have gone very, very quiet in regards to Travis Scott since WrestleMania 41. Like, there's not really been any sort of mention of him since WrestleMania 41. Which is obviously quite interesting. And I think that, and I do think, at this point, as it's been obviously, you're sort of thinking, well, surely if we were still going to be getting the person that was originally planned to be in that DLC pack, surely they would have announced who it was by now. Surely they would have revealed that. But the fact they've still not revealed that person makes me think that they've had to cancel those plans, and that the person that they've not been able to get the person who was actually originally meant to be the celebrity for the first DLC pack, and they're now looking for a backup option. Whether they do, but whether that or whether or not that is actually the case, I don't know. But it's what I do believe right now. I think a lot of people have that same opinion. That they have that opinion that the first year, the person they weren't able to get the person that was meant to be the celebrity for the first year in the first DLC pack, obviously aka Travis Scott, and they've now got to look for and they've now got to look for a backup option. I mean, I wouldn't mind someone like fucking Jelly Roll. I mean, what it hurts to was fucking Joe Hendry or someone like that. I mean, I'd even be happy with if it was Joe Hendry. I wouldn't mind that. But at least give us a backup option. At least be honest with us instead of keeping wrestling fans in limbo, not knowing what the hell's going on. At least actually be honest with people and say, look, this is what the situation is, instead of keeping things hush, so hush hush. At least give us some sort of an update. Don't keep paying fans, in complete limbo like they are. Don't keep things so hush hush. They need to be honest with people and let people know what's going on. Give people some sort of an update on that. You know. So obviously, when do I think EAFC 26 will be revealed? So I'm thinking it will probably be revealed next month. I was expecting it to be revealed this month, but I'm sure that the new games are normally revealed in June. But I mean, obviously I'm expecting it to be revealed next month, but then it's a bit crazy the fact they reveal it next month, literally. Mind you, I mean, there would obviously, there'd still be about 8-9 weeks before release anyway, so it won't really matter. But I do think it'll be revealed next month. We'll get the trailer and things like that. I mean, I'll be interested to see what FC26 is going to be like. I did see some rumours that there was going to be an earlier release date this year, which was meant apparently August 30th or something like that. I mean, I can't see. I mean, I'd love for that to happen, but I just don't think. I just can't see that they're gonna release that game at the end of August. I really don't. Here we go again. Rocks. All right, you two. All right, calm down. All right. Yeah, come on. Hello. Been shopping. Hey. Ruby. Enough, you two. Ruby. Enough, Lene. You sharpen up. Ruby. No. So should have back to shopping, and they don't mad like that. So I mean, obviously, we'll see what happens with the reveal of FC 26 probably next month. So in terms of when do I think we're gonna get the final DLC for GTA 5? I'm thinking maybe end of this year. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say really because I mean we don't know what's going to happen with GTA 6 just yet. I mean, obviously we've been, we're all hoping that, barring another delay, the game is going to release as planned in May next year. There is that kind of fear in the back of my mind that the game is going to be delayed once again. Obviously, it's going to hit us, and we're going to be given a second delay, and it probably won't come out till like the latter half of next year. Obviously, nobody would want that to happen, but you kind of feel that it's somewhat inevitable, like it's somewhat, it's somewhat bound to happen. And this is Rockstar games we're talking about, it's kind of somewhat predictable, I think, in a way that we're going to get another delay. I hope we don't, but, I mean, I think this time before they made the first delay announcement, I never ruled it out, I never said I didn't think a delay was going to happen. I said that I believed it could happen. I didn't want it to happen, but I thought that I knew that there was a possibility that we would be hit with a delay. I wasn't fully expecting that the game would be coming out this year. I kind of had that funny feeling that it would be delayed until next year. I think a lot of people kind of knew it seemingly were very confident about it. Has been seemingly very confident about that since the start of the year. People have been saying that the game would be delayed until 2026 and the game wasn't going to come out this year. But I was trying not to take any notice of that. I was trying to remain positive and thinking, well, those people will be proven wrong when it does come out at the end of the year. Only to be proven wrong myself because the game that Rockstar would obviously announce that the game had been pushed back until May next year. So I was like, oh, it has been delayed. I had a funny feeling that was going to happen. Um, well, the one thing I've been thinking about, recently is the PlayStation 4 still worth it in 2025? My answer to that question is yes, the PlayStation 4. I mean, even though it's a 12-year-old console, it's still very much worth it in 2025. I think, I think it's a good console. I think it's still a good console to own. I think graphics wise, the console still holds up very, very well. I think it has I think it does have very good graphics. I mean, obviously, you would say, obviously the PlayStation 5 graphics are slightly better than what we see on the PS4. I'm certainly not in any way saying that I think the PlayStation 4 is better than the PS5, or like that has better graphics than the PS5. I've never said that. I've never straight up said that I thought that. Um, that's not an opinion. Lady! That's the opinion obviously that I have of it's obviously that the PS4 console is. I mean, it does have decent graphics, but I'm certainly not in any way saying I think the graphics are better than the PS5. Definitely not. I mean, obviously, I remember. I mean, it's crazy to think that the PS5 has been out, but the PS4 has been out for 12 years this year. 2013 it came out. I remember obviously when when console first came out, like the hype there was around both the PS4 and Xbox One. Like there was a lot of hype around that. I remember going out in the January sales after Christmas. We went up to Stratford and we went past CEX and they had a PS4 and an Xbox One console in the window. And I'd already made my mind up. I'd already, even though there was 10 months until my birth, which is in November, I'd already decided that the Xbox One was what I wanted for my birthday that year. I'd not even considered PlayStation 4 at that point, but I'd previously been playing on the Xbox 360, so it made sense for me to go from the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One. And then one of my teachers at school bought the Xbox One, and they were saying, obviously, they were telling my mum that obviously there've been a few kind of issues with the Xbox One, and my mum had said, thought about it, and then advised me to go for the PS4, which is what I did. Obviously, it felt weird. Trying to get used to the PS4 control pad. Yes, obviously I've never played on the PS4 before. I never played on on the PlayStation before, right? But I played on the PS2, but I never played the PS3 and the PS4. But yeah, I think I'm happy to run the PS4. I think there's a lot of games. It's funny when I think about it. There are some games that I absolutely hated at first, and I vowed never to play them again. But recently, having gone back and actually played those games, I actually find them a lot more enjoyable. Games like Hillzone Shadowfall, Fallout 4, games that I did pick up and thought, at one point I think, I'm not a big fan of these games. I'm not enjoying them. I'm probably never going to play them again. And I recently picked them up and started playing them again, actually thought, and actually started thinking, well, actually these games are pretty good games. These games are pretty fun to play. These games, are pretty interesting games to play, I found myself actually getting into them, which is funny, considering I'd always been so critical of them and found never to ever play them again. But having recently gone back and played them, I'm actually finding them more enjoyable, which is crazy. Obviously the PS4 for me, I think it still holds up very, very well. I think a lot of the games still hold up very, very well on the PlayStation 4. Obviously I've got the PlayStation 4 Slim, and I've also got the 4 terabyte Sonics hard drive as well. So obviously I'm good to go. I've got a lot of games installed on that. Obviously, we are still we are a couple of years away from the launch of the PS6. I still think the PS4 is still worth it. I would say the same thing for the Xbox 360 and PS2. I think those consoles are still worth it. In 2025. Obviously, I can't get them in the shops anyway. You got to buy them online, but the library that the PS4, like the Xbox 360, had was incredible. Same with the PlayStation 2. And I think the PS4 has a very, decent library when it comes to video games. I think that it's one of the best. You know, I mean, you know, I mean, even though I play a lot on the PS5, I still love the PS4. You know, I do play a lot on the PS4. I don't play it all that often. But I do play it from time to time. If I feel like I want to play on the PlayStation 4, then I'll go and play on the PS4. That's why I do. But yeah, going back to the whole 2K25 thing, hopefully I'm really hoping that we do get some sort of information from 2K soon about what's happening with the celebrity from the first DLC pack. Like, I'm still getting that person, or are we getting someone else? Like that's what they need to make clear. They need to come out and actually say to people, and actually, explain to people whether they're actually still gonna get the first DLC, the actual the celebrity that was originally planned, or if we're now getting someone else, maybe, we're now getting a replacement. If they're not, at least be honest with people about that. Instead of lying, instead of keeping something so hush hush, keeping people waiting, you know. Like, why are they taking so long to put that information out there? Why are they taking so long to tell anyone anything? Why have we had to wait nearly a month for any, why are we still waiting? It's been nearly a month. Why are we still waiting for information? Why do we still not know who that mystery celebrity is? Why do we still not know if we're still gonna get that wrestler, that person, or if we're getting someone else? I want 2K. Don't keep don't open your fucking mouths and actually tell people what's going on. Give people an update on the situation. Let us know who we're going to be dating now. Are we still dating that person or are we not? Be honest. Don't keep your mouth shut. Just be honest and tell people what's going on. Yeah, people might be a bit annoyed, but at least be honest about it instead of keeping hush hush and not telling people anything. But yeah, just want I want to give my thoughts on that. To a And yes, I do 100% think that the Xbox One is still the PS4 is still a very profitable console in 2025. I mean, there's not really any games I need to pick up for the PS4 now. And I feel like I picked up all of the games that I really needed to pick up. I don't think there's any others that I actually need. Um, I mean, I do have some pretty decent games for the PS4: Spider-Man, Call of Duty, Killzone, 10 ton of Pro Evo games, WWE 2K, uh, the old FIFAs. So yeah, got quite a lot. So I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.